want to say for the record, there has been some progress. But the fact remains, here's an irrefutable fact. In 1967, 18% of the people in Newark were poor. In 2026, almost 24% of the people in Newark are poor. So poverty has not been eliminated. And many of the conditions that existed in 1967 still exist today. But we've come here today to pay homage to all those who rose up. Honk your horns, if you remember 67, honk those horns. Honk those horns if you think there needs to be a change, honk those horns. Thank you, thank you. We're here today to commemorate the rebellion of 1967. I was 13 years old living on South 12th Street. Somebody ran upstairs and said Springfield Avenue was on fire. And by that evening, I could stand on my second floor porch and look out over a city that was in turmoil. But this wasn't turmoil for turmoil's sake. That's why we don't call it a riot. People in Newark had experienced generations of oppression. Not years, generations of oppression here in the city of Newark. And people just couldn't take any more. And they decided that they were going to rise up against that oppression. One of the things I want to do before going into any long discussion about what happened in 1967, I want to lay out some of the demands that we have today. We're not just coming here to protest for protest's sake. We have some particular demands. As I said earlier, 1967 rebellion was precipitated by an incident of police brutality. There was a cab driver named John Smith, and he was stopped by the police at Springfield and Fairmount Avenue, which is about 4 blocks up here, right where the Metroplex Theater is. The police beat this cab driver, John Smith, and they took him 1 block, 2 blocks over to the 17th Avenue precinct. And people thought, from what they could see, because the Hayes Homes projects used to be here, it's no longer here, but on this skyline here were these 13-story projects. And people could look down and see them dragging John Smith into the police precinct. And so there were organizations in Newark at that time, civil rights organizations. One was named CORE, the Congress of Racial Equality. Another one was NCUP, Newark Communities United. And there were other organizations, and they had a demonstration right out in front of the 17th Avenue precinct, literally 2 blocks down. It's on the corner of Livingston and 17th Avenue. And the police poured out of the precinct and attacked the demonstrators. And that's what started the rebellion. Because it all happened, this 1 square mile area here where you see all these 2-level housing projects here, all of this used to be 13-story housing projects. Over here was Scudder Homes, and behind Scudder Homes was Hayes Homes, was Stella Wright, Scudder Homes, Stella Wright, Hayes Homes. At one time, this square mile here had more black people than any place in the United States of America. And that's when they beat John Smith, and it caused an explosion. So one of the demands in 1967 was for a police review board with subpoena power. In fact, this demand is older than 1967. This street right here is Irvine Turner Boulevard. It used to be Belmont Avenue, the street going across here. Irvin Turner was the first black councilman elected in the history of the city of Newark. He was elected in 1960, and in 1960, Irvin Turner raised the demand for a police review board because there was so much police brutality in Newark. So here we are 59 years after the 1967 rebellion, 66 years after Irvine Turner, and we still don't have a police review board with subpoena powers. That's 3 generations of people who have made this demand. The demand was probably put forward strongest by Amiri Baraka, the poet, playwright, activist, father of the current mayor of Newark. He put that demand forward. And for 59 years since 1967, 66 years since Irvin Turner, we've been demanding police review board. The mayor of Newark tried to establish it in response to the community demand, and what happened? The police, FOP Lodge number 13 took the city of Newark to court to stop the implementation of the police review board.
Can I get a break?
They lost at one level in court, but they took it all the way up to the state Supreme Court. And the state Supreme Court said that Newark could establish a police review board, but only the state of New Jersey could give subpoena power to that police review board. Because if you don't have subpoena power, you have a toothless police review board. So today, we demand justice for all the victims of police brutality in Newark since the 1960s. We demand justice for those today. We demand justice for Carl Dorsey, who was killed by Newark police. We demand justice for Wale Bay, who was recently killed by Newark police. We demand justice for all of these victims of police brutality. And today, we demand the establishment of a police review board with subpoena powers. And we call on all the state legislators, particularly the black ones, from Newark and from other cities around this state, to support the demand for a police review board with subpoena powers. Because the police in the United States are out of control. They're out of control in New Jersey, they're out of control in New York, they're out of control in Mississippi. In Mississippi, the police killed a 1-year-old child named Cohen Wiley. Shot a 1-year-old child to death. And it continues to go on and on and on. So we want police review boards. In Jersey, they want to call it civilian complaint review boards. Quite frankly, I think the name should be changed. I mean, what are the civilians complaining about? Okay, you know, you got to put the police name in it, you know? Teachers have to go before an education board. Police should have to go before police review board. They call it a civilian complaint review board. Okay, but that's not really what it's about. It's about, my brother, it's about making police accountable. I believe this is the family? No, okay. It's about making the police accountable. And at the federal level, we demand the passage of the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. But brothers and sisters, all this legislation comes down to this. There must be community of control of the police. If you don't have civilian oversight and civilian authority over the police become a power unto themselves. That's why they keep killing us, because they think they can just get away with it. And they do get away with it. Listen, this is a statistical fact. Less than 1% of police involved in police brutality, police killings, less than 1% are actually found guilty of anything. I know you see all the news headlines about this one police over here, like they put Derek Chauvin in jail, right? Who killed George Floyd. So everybody thinks, oh, the problem is okay. That's one incident. Every year, the police in the United States kill more than 1,200 people, and 35% of them are black, and we're only 14% of the population in the United States, 14% here in the state of New Jersey. So the police have to be brought under control. But we're not only being killed by the police, we're being killed by ICE. They're killing black people as well as Latinos. But we need to call for the abolition of ICE. ICE must go. Everybody say it. ICE must go. ICE must go. ICE must go. Stop police brutality. Stop police brutality. We're being killed by ICE. We're being killed by the police. We're being killed by the FBI. We're being killed by federal troops. Right now, federal troops are in cities all around the United States, including Washington, D.C. And they have killed black people in Washington. They have killed black people in Memphis, Tennessee. So we say, federal troops out of our cities. Everybody say it. Federal troops out of our cities. Federal troops out of our cities. We want justice. We want economic justice. We want the abolition of poverty in the United States. China has, according to the United Nations, not according to China, but according to the United Nations, China has lifted 400 million people out of poverty. If China can eliminate poverty, the United States can eliminate poverty. Y'all agree with that? We need a national urban policy. There has not been a national urban policy in this country since the 1960s. Imagine that. How many presidents we've had since 1968? Since 68, since Richard Nixon, this country has not had an urban policy to address the needs of urban areas. We need a national urban policy, and we demand the restoration of all cuts in federal aid to our cities. Return all the money that's been cut back to our budgets. This year, the federal government cut $800 billion, not 800 million, $800 billion from Medicaid. So now 400 hospitals across the United States are going to be closed. 12 hospitals here in New Jersey are going to be closed. East Orange Hospital is one of those 12 on the verge of being closed. And every day we see them taking more and more services out of University Hospital. So we demand the restoration of all the federal aid that's been cut. We demand an urban Marshall Plan. At the end of World War II, the United States poured billions of dollars into Europe to rebuild Europe. If they can pour billions of dollars into Europe to rebuild Europe, they should pour billions of dollars into our cities to rebuild our cities and make them healthy and habitable places to live. We demand an increase in the minimum wage. The minimum wage in the United States has not been raised in 13 years. The minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. You can't pay rent for a one-bedroom apartment anywhere in the United States for $7.25. We demand an immediate increase in the minimum wage to at least $20 an hour. At least $20 an hour minimum wage. But we demand more than a minimum wage. We demand a living wage in the United States. If people work 40 hours a week, they should make enough money to pay their bills, support their families, and raise their children. We want a living wage in the United States. And you know what else we need? We need unions for all workers in the United States of America. All workers should have unions in this country. At the end of World War II, 49% of labor in the United States was unionized. Only 11% of labor is unionized today. We need a national jobs program, brothers and sisters. There's no reason why we should have 13%, 14%. For young men, 24% unemployment. In the 1930s, when so many people were unemployed, they created the WPA and the CCC and other work programs. They put people back to work. We demand a national jobs program with jobs at a living wage for all the unemployed. Put all unemployed people back to work with money for their families so that they can support themselves. Today, 59 years after the rebellion, Newark has had some recovery. You can't look around and say nothing has changed, because a few things have changed. But with change comes new challenges. One of the problems Newark is facing today is the problem of gentrification. This brother just walked up to me just now and said, those apartments right there, they can't afford to live in those apartments. We say stop gentrification in Newark, New Jersey. Stop gentrification. We need affordable housing. We call for a moratorium on evictions and a moratorium on foreclosures. No more putting people out of their homes and out of their apartments for no good reason. And we call for a national public housing program. Right now, the United States is at least 2 million housing units short for the population that we have. We need a national federal program to build public housing like they built it after World War II, but not the monstrosities we used to have here in Newark. They need to build decent housing that people want to live in, housing that doesn't look like prisons, because that's what the projects used to look like. They used to look like prisons. We demand quality health care for all the people here in Newark. We demand an end to all hospital closures. We demand an end to Medicaid cuts. We call on the state of New Jersey to save University Hospital. University Hospital, right up the hill over here on South Orange Avenue, is the only public hospital in Newark. I was a patient for the last 3 weeks. I was a patient in the emergency room at University Hospital. And while I was a patient there, I spoke to the staff. And they need more resources. They need more staff in University Hospital. This used to be one of the best hospitals in New Jersey, but they took the money and they took the services out. We say restore all the money, restore all of the services, and make University Hospital the best hospital in the state of New Jersey.
That's right.
We need a national fund to stop all hospital closures. Every time an industry is getting ready to fail in the United States, they bail them out. Obama bailed out the banks. Obama bailed out the auto industry. Why can't we bail out our hospitals? See, you don't think about a hospital until you gotta go to hospital, right? Then you go to hospital and you go in the emergency room, you see 1,000 people in there, and you see 1 or 2 doctors in there trying to service all them people in there. We need a national fund that will stabilize hospitals that are on the verge of bankruptcy. We need better schools in Newark and better schools in our urban areas. We need to stop the federal government attack on public education in the United States. Trump is trying to, and listen, it's not as simple as you think. Trump is trying to end public education in the United States. They're trying to do it through defunding public education. He's breaking up the Department of Education and putting different parts of it under different departments of the federal government. We need to save public education. We need to stop the dismantling of the Department of Education, and we need increased federal aid for our public schools. Public schools in urban areas should be as good as schools in suburban areas in the United States of America. And they're trying to erase our history. They're trying to erase our existence. This is always a part of the fascist plan, to erase people's history. Right now they're trying to retell the story of the United States. You can't tell the story of the United States without telling the story of what happened to black people in this country. We stand here in the aftermath of the 4th of July. All curriculum should say this country was founded on genocide and the extermination of the Native Americans and the enslavement of African people in this country. That's how the United States was founded. And we demand that the Amistad Law, which says that black education is supposed to be taught in all public schools, we demand the implementation of the Amistad Law. Listen, there's 600 public school districts in this state. Less than 12 of them have actually implemented the Amistad Act. And we have one brother here that's been pushing for 25 years for Black History, Brother Bashir Akiyele. Give him a big hand. He's at Weequahic High School. He's been trying to push Black history in the public schools. In Newark, we have prisons. We have Essex County Prison. We have Northern State Prison. We must end mass incarceration in the United States of America. There should be no such thing as a private prison in the United States. We should abolish privately owned prisons in the United States. We should end institutional racism in the criminal justice system. And we must make prisons a place where people are genuinely rehabilitated and not made worse when they come out. We need adequate training and education for all incarcerated people in our prisons. And we need to end slavery in our prisons, brothers and sisters. Slavery exists in the prison. They're making people work for Fortune 500 corporations for $1 an hour, 35 cents an hour. In Delaney Hall, it's $1 a day. That is nothing but modern day slavery. People that work, whether they be in prison or out of prison, they should make a decent wage. There should be no such thing as a prison wage in the United States of America. There should be one wage for all working people. We want an end to de facto lifetime sentences. You know, there are a lot of brothers and sisters that go to prison. They might have been sentenced for 5 years. They might have been sentenced for 10 years, but they go to the parole board, and every time they go to the parole board, they deny parole. So they end up in there. They had a 5-year sentence, and they end up being in prison for 25 years. We say, a sentence should be a sentence. No more making a parole as an excuse to extend people's time in prison. And our prisoners need legal aid. We know of a brother. His name was Curtis Knight. He was a member of the People's Organization for Progress. He was sentenced to a crime that he did not commit. He studied on his own, wrote his own legal briefs, and got himself out of prison. These prisoners need legal aid because many people are in prison who should not be in prison. We need to end police brutality, but we need to end brutality of prisoners in our prisons. Many of them are being brutalized. We just saw a story that came out in the Star Ledger today about how they were beating prisoners and raping prisoners at Delaney Hall. That has to end. And we want freedom for all of our political prisoners. We want freedom for Mumia Abu-Jamal and freedom for all political prisoners in the United States. Brothers and sisters, the murder, the torture, the violation of human rights in Delaney Hall must stop. We demand the closure of Delaney Hall now. Close Delaney Hall now. They tried to jack up Mayor Baraka. They dropped the charges against him, but they've kept charges on Congresswoman LaMonica MacGyver. She stands to face 17 years in prison for charges, false charges against her. We call for all the charges against Congresswoman Monica MacGyver to be dropped.
That's right. What charge?
In Newark, New Jersey, we had apartheid. When I lived in this city in the 1950s, it was a majority black city, but there was no black representation. In fact, not only was it a majority black city, most of the black people were corralled into what we're in now, the Central Ward of Newark. I know, because I used to live on Ridgewood and Avon, just a mile away from here. And then I lived on 12th Street, which is also at that time in the Central Ward. Ever since then, we had a Black Power movement. We had some success. We got thousands of black people represented. And even though that didn't bring about the change we wanted, it apparently has made some people very mad. Trump has appointed reactionaries of the worst type to the Supreme Court, and they have voted to gut the Voting Rights Act. We say restore the Voting Rights Act in the United States of America. We call for the passage of the John Lewis Voter Advancement Bill in the Congress of the United States. We call for an end to voter suppression. We call for an end to racist gerrymandering. We call, right here in Essex County, New Jersey, we call for an end to roll purging. Did you all know they do roll purging in New Jersey?
Right.
Did you know that? If you don't vote in 4 years, you're taken off.
Right.
You're just taken off the roll.
Right.
You know, our position is it should be like it is in Europe. Once you're born, you get a social security number. You shouldn't even have to register to vote again. It should be lifetime registration.
Can you say that again about roll purging?
Yes, roll purging exists in New Jersey. County clerks purge the rolls every year. That's why you don't see significant increases in the number of registered voters. It's like a bucket with a hole in the bottom. You pour the water in, the water comes out the bottom. You register voters, other voters get struck from the polls. We should end roll purging in the United States. And the People's Organization has called for this for decades. We call for it today. We should have same-day voter registration in the United States, in New Jersey. Listen, what does same-day registration mean? Why, if you're not registered, why you can't go in the polling place? They got computers. I voted the other day. All the registrars sitting there with little tablets. If you're not registered, why can't you register on the day of election and vote? Right. It doesn't make any sense. Right. We demand same-day registration in the state of New Jersey.
Yes.
And the biggest change we need in terms of politics, we need to get rid of the Trump regime and the fascists that control the United States of America. Trump must go. Everybody said Trump must go. Trump must go. Stop fascism. Stop fascism. And finally, brothers and sisters, the last thing I want to say is that what happens abroad affects what happens at home.
Yes, it does.
What happens in Cuba affects what happens in Newark. What happens in Iran affects what happens in Newark. What happens in Haiti affects what happens in Newark. We call for the immediate end of the war in Iran, and for all the money that's being spent on war, spend it at home for housing, for jobs, for education and health care, the needs of the people. We call for an end to the war in the Ukraine. We call for U.S. out of Venezuela, an end to the U.S. occupation of Venezuela. And most importantly, we call for an end to the blockade and embargo of Cuba. It is inhumane, it is unhumanitarian, it is not humanitarian. End the embargo, end the blockade against Cuba. So I just wanted to get that out front because I know a lot of people want to relate their experiences, but it's important to understand that we're here today because we also have very specific demands, and I laid out many of those demands to you. All power to the people. All power to the people. Now we want to go forward. Is anybody going to do libations? Zaid, you going to do libations?
You want to do it now? You're supposed to do it at the beginning.
Well, you wasn't here. You were late, so I filled in for you. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, you need the mic so people can hear you.
Somebody come hold it because I got
I'll hold it. I'll hold it.
All right.
Oh, you want me to hold the mic?
Yeah. You got slack? Come on.
We're just going to go through the names of everybody here on the Rebellion Monument, and I'm glad to see our brand new Central Ward Councilman, Madam Councilwoman Amina Bey. Madam Councilwoman, I just got to tell you very quickly, your predecessor, the late great Mildred Crump, we used to talk about a redo of this park, a reimagining of the park. So we may want to have that conversation, move forward. Yes, ma'am, right? So when I say Ibaye, y'all say, hold up. When I say Ibaye, what y'all gonna say? Funky on me, it's Newark, New Jersey. Rose Abraham, Ibaye. Elizabeth Artist, Ibaye. T-Doc Bell, Ibaye. Leroy Boyd, Ibaye. Rebecca Boyd, Ibaye. Mary Helen Campbell, Ibaye. Rufus Council, Ibaye. William Ferrer, Ibaye. Hattie Gaynor, Ibaye. Raymond Gilmore, Ibaye. Isaac Harrison, Ibaye. Rufus Hawk, Ibaye. Oscar Hill, Ibaye. Jesse May Jones, Ibaye. Robert Martin, Ibaye. Albert Miser, Ibaye. Captain Michael Moran, Ibaye. Eddie Moss, Ibaye. Cornelius Murray, Ibaye. Michael Pugh, Ibaye. James Rutledge, Ibaye. Victor Lewis Smith, Ibaye. James Sanders, Ibaye. Eloise Spellman, Ibaye. Richard Talaferro, Ibaye. Detective Fred Toto, Ibaye. Last but hardly Isa Imamu. The late great Amiri Baraka, who with a bandage on his head after having his split right here on Springfield Avenue, who led the National Black Power Conference right here in Newark on the ashes and blood of the Newark Uprising, Ibaye. North, the south, the east, the west, with the four directions, we say Ibaye, 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 Ashe, 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 oh.
All right. I don't see any children here, but that's all right. I'm gonna ask Brother Bashir. Bashir, there's a bouquet of roses under the board, under the ironing board there. I'm gonna ask Brother Bashir to come and put the roses at the monument and stay there for a few minutes so people could take your picture when you put, and then I'll ask you to make some remarks. You want me to go on this side?
Yeah. No, I'm looking for something else. Come on, you got it. You want to lay them in the flower pot? Yeah, that'll be even better. Yeah.
Put them with the place tag the other way.
I know. Ladies get it right. I'm trying to get it right.
Then you can't miss it.
That little bit.
Take them out the back.
Looks good.
Yeah.
Good like that. Yes.
All right, Brother Bashir. All right. All right, let's give our brother Larry Hamm, State Chair of the People's Organization for Progress, a strong round of applause. We can do better than that. Let's give him a strong round of applause. Our dear elder, one of our great leaders, teachers, and guide, you know, mad respect for this brother right here, Brother Larry Hamm. So honored to be in his presence always. So again, let's give him a strong round of applause, brothers and sisters. Let me begin by this. I'm sorry, my Muslim brothers and sisters. I'm going to begin by saying, paying homage to the Creator and a brother that we follow as our guide for our spiritual path and for social justice. All right? So we begin by saying, Ashhadu ila ilaha illallah. Absolutely. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. That simply means there is no deity worthy of worship except the one God, the creator of all the worlds, and that Muhammad is his messenger. With that, we say, Assalamu alaikum. Hotep. Oh, we forgot about the word Hotep in the city of Newark. Brother Larry, Baba, we got to teach hard on this word. This is part of black history. One of the oldest, if not the oldest written word for peace in human history. Hotep. It's an actual word. When I went to Kemet, I put my whole hand in one of the letters, right? And my whole arm went all the way in one of the letters of Hotep. That's how deeply etched in stone this word is in our history. It reflects what our history is, Brother Larry. Our history is etched in stone. There's nothing nobody can do to change that. So again, Hotep, 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 stop the shooting, stop the shooting, stop the violence, stop the killing, stop the killing, stop the killing, stop the killing, stop the shooting, stop the shooting, stop the violence. Black power. Oh, we getting low on black power. This is the city that put black power on the map. Black power under the leadership of Mamu Amir Baraka and our dear sister Amina Baraka. Black power, black power, black power. All power to the people. All power to the people. All power to the people. Give yourselves a strong round of applause, brothers and sisters. Again, my name is Brother Bashir Muhammad Patel Akinyele. I am a history and Africana studies teacher at Weekway High School. Alright? You outside of Weekway, you say Weekway, right? But if you're from Newark, you're from Brick City, you're from the Newark area, you say Weekway, right? IP. Weekway IP, no doubt. But I'm a community activist. I'm a member of the mighty Newark Anti-Violence Coalition. I see some of our members here. I'm also a member of the Association for the Study of Classical African Civilizations, that's ASCAT, that was founded by our dear elders, Drs. Clark, Dr. John Henry Clark, Dr. Ben, Dr. Jeffries, Malana Karinga, Asa Hilliard, Rakiti Amin. All right. So with all that being said, I'm gonna be really short, not gonna be long. We're paying homage, we're paying tribute to our fallen soldiers, our fallen brothers and sisters who were killed during the rebellion. All right, we're honoring the rebellion. So some folks call it the riots, but it's the rebellion because of the oppression that black people were facing in the city. Black people stood up and they rebelled against that oppression. All right, we don't do enough in the school system, Brother Larry, to teach on the rebellion. Most students, brothers and sisters, let me say this to y'all, real talk. Most students don't even know that there was a rebellion. They have no idea that a rebellion took place in 1967. Now in my class they know about it. At Weekway High School they know about it. But in other schools and other classes, they have no idea that a rebellion took place. That black people stood up and fought back, pushed back against racism and white supremacy and and all forms of oppression in this city, brothers and sisters. That's not good. We have to do more. We have to keep fighting. We have to keep fighting to make sure Amistad is implemented fully in the city of Newark. We there, but we're not all the way there. We there, but it's not all the way there. We still have a long way to go to fully implement Amistad. An Amistad bill is the bill that requires, as Larry was saying, requires that black history is taught in all subject areas. Not just history, y'all. K through 12, but all subject courses. That's math, science, English, and history.
Everything.
All right, that means in math, when our kids go to math class, they should be studying the Shango bone, the oldest mathematical instrument in human history. And that knowledge went up to what we now call Egypt, but the ancient name for it is Kemet, and that knowledge transformed to what we now call geometry. Algebra and geometry. Our students should know that. When they walk into a math class, they should know the African origins of mathematics. But unfortunately, in these schools, they do not know. They do not know. They go back to Thales in Rome, right? The Greeks, right? They go back to everybody else's culture except our culture. So we have a lot to learn. And this rebellion is in that spirit, to fight back, to push back, to fight back, to push back against racism, against white supremacy, against all forms of oppression. We have to fight back. And as a teacher, that's the lesson that I learned. That's the lesson that I carry with my 30 years of teaching. My counselor is here, Miss Hill. Let's give Miss Hill a strong round of applause. She knew me when I was like 19 years old. I'm 57 now. She knew me when I was a little pup, little young brother at Seton Hall University. Love you, Miss Hill. All right? She helped guide me through Seton Hall. Seton Hall, when we were at Seton Hall, we called it Satan's hell, because the devil would give us hell every day at that school. That's what we called it then. And we still call it that now. All right? That school has a long way to diversify. But I don't want to get off track. We got to keep fighting. That's the lesson that I take from the rebellion, is to continue to fight against all forms of racism, white supremacy, all forms of oppression in that classroom on a daily basis at Weekway High School. With that being said, thank you, brothers and sisters, for blessing me with the mic. I don't want to be long, I want to be strong, all right? Thank you, brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum, Hotep, peace, stop the shooting. Stop the shooting. Stop the shooting. Stop the killing. Stop the killing. Stop the killing. Stop the killing. Stop the violence. Stop the violence. Peace in the streets. Peace in the streets. Black power. Black power. Black power. All power to the people. All power to the people. Hotep. Assalamu alaikum. Peace. Give him a big hand. Give him a big hand. Now I want to invite the council, the newly elected council.
Come on now. Yeah, there you go.
Newly elected. Yeah. Y'all can't start giving her hell. Give her a month at least. Give her a month. I had to say, somebody heard, give her a month. She just got elected in June. But it was a big victory. She's from the grassroots.
That's right.
And now she's on the city council. Her mother was one of the early members of the People's Organization for Progress, Frederica Bay. We used to have meetings at your house. We used to have meetings when she was a little girl. Now she's a grown woman and councilwoman of the Central Ward of Newark. Amina Bay, give her a big hand.
Thank you, Chairman. Assalamu alaikum. Peace, Hotep. Good afternoon, all good greetings of good people. First of all, just want to thank, again, we got to give it up for Chairman Larry Hamm. I mean, you talking about a sustained movement, making sure that our issues stay at the front, the forefront. As he said, before, my mother, Frederica Bay, one of the early members of People's Organization for Progress. I was a young child going to those meetings with my mother, some of them at our apartment, and just listening and knowing and understanding how important it is for us to organize and to be organized, how important it is for us to read and to study and understand this system so we can change it. So I want to thank Brother Larry Hamm for instilling that in me, because he's one of the reasons why I'm standing here now as your councilwoman for the Central Ward. And also, and I make sure that I say it every time I'm in his presence, People's Organization for Progress gave me my first scholarship money for me to go to college, and bought my books for my very first semester at college. And so I thank you. I will always be grateful. So we're here in the Central Ward that used to be the old 3rd Ward. This is where my mother was born. And I just came, actually, and today is a day of a lot of activity, so I'm running in and out. But I just came from the cemetery, my family and I, to honor my father, Salome Bey. It's 20 years since he passed away. And in 1967, at the start of the rebellions, my parents were dating. I wasn't even a thought. My parents were dating, and they walked in the middle of the rebellion and things happening, and buildings burning and people looting and hearing gunshots and just all of this chaos happening. But the thing is that it wasn't just a rebellion. It just wasn't an uprising. It was the beginning of a revolution. Right. Okay, because enough was enough. Yes. Our people had had enough. And although we have come such a long way, we have made such strides in this city. I mean, you think about it. It was mentioned before, our beloved Imamu Amiri Baraka was bludgeoned and beat during those rebellions, and now his son is the mayor of this city, Raz J. Baraka. So we can't say that there's been no progress. However, there's been progress politically, but we still have conditions, socio-economic conditions, that can cause a rebellion. Okay? Larry Hamm talked about the housing and the rent. These are very serious issues. When people can't pay their rent, when they have to choose between buying food and paying their rent, these are things that will lead people to a rebellion. When people feel that they are being mishandled and ostracized and marginalized and oppressed, those are the things that lead to rebellion. And so we need to know and understand what's happening, because we are in the midst of a federal government that wants to see us dead. Okay? Not quiet, dead. They want us gone. And they're doing everything in their power, slowly, little by little, to do that. And so that's why it's so important, and people want to roll their eyes about voting. Brothers and sisters, it is so important. We have midterm elections coming up. We have to get out and vote. We have to register people to vote. We have to vote for these judges who are out here choosing violence against us. We have to vote for these people who are trying to put our beloved Congresswoman LaMonica in jail. We have to vote them out. We have to make sure that we vote for people that know how to overturn these calculations that HUD does that says what's affordable, because it's not affordable for us when it comes to housing and rents in Newark. That's right. We have the power. We have the power. We talk about all power to the people. We have all the power. We just have to exercise it. That's right. We have to exercise it. So we cannot allow ourselves and our children, and some of us with grandchildren, not us, not me, but some of y'all, with grandchildren, we can't allow them to be comfortable. We can't allow them to be silent. We can't allow them to be dormant. We can't, if there was ever a time for us to come together and fight and kick the door down, it is right now. Right now. Right now. Because our lives are at stake. Our very lives are at stake. Not just in Newark, all over. Black and brown people are under attack. Poor people are under attack. Marginalized communities are being eliminated. Go ahead. They're literally riding around like slave catchers, snatching people off of the street. Right. Do you understand what that is? And they come for them tonight, they coming for us in the morning. So it's all of our fight. Anybody who tells you that has nothing to do with us is lying to you. They're part of the problem. Okay? That's right, all people are under attack.
That's right.
All people are under attack. So brothers and sisters, I just want to say thank you for keeping this going. Thank you for making sure that we never forget. And thank you for keep the movement pushing, because the struggle continues and it is so very real. Okay? So we are going to honor our people. We honor those who gave their lives. For me to be able to stand here as an African-American Muslim elected official here in Newark, New Jersey, because that wasn't even a thought in anyone's head in 1967.
That's right.
Not even a remote thought. Okay? So we owe them. We owe them. They are the fallen soldiers. They were on the front line. And so we thank them, we honor them, we thank the Creator for giving us life, for giving us intelligence, for giving us courage, for giving us the opportunity to keep fighting. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sister Bay. Thank you, Sister Bay. We're going to hear two more speakers, then we're going to march. So I don't want to wait till too much hotter. And then we're going to come back and hear the rest of the speakers. So Max Herman, you want to say a few words, then Dr. Carter, then we're going to march. And everybody need to get a banner. There's a couple of banners over there. Get a banner so you can carry a banner in the march. Dr. Max Herman.
Thank you, Larry. My name is Max Herman. I've been a professor at Rutgers, Newark, and for the last 16 years at New Jersey City University, which unfortunately, due to financial malfeasance, went bankrupt and was taken over. I now work for Kane University, for better or for worse. It's just one piece of a larger puzzle as an educator, where I've seen public education systematically defunded over my time, my 30 years in teaching, and it's something, as Larry pointed out earlier, that we must demand that the state actually put money and the federal government put money back into higher education, public higher education. We're seeing right now, I take my students to Ellis Island every semester. I take them to Ellis Island, and they're telling me, my colleagues at Ellis Island, that they have to scrub the exhibits. They have to remove things that are in the exhibits that are considered, quote, un-American. And that includes any discussion of slavery, that includes discussions of anti-Semitism, that includes discussions of transgender an individual that was at Ellis Island. Exhibit, he's been down. His name has been taken off. So we are in the process, unfortunately, of erasing history and defunding higher education. As an educator, that's why I'm here. But I'm also here for, this is an anniversary of sorts. It's my 25th year coming to this march. And again, I thank Larry for keeping the memory alive.
Chairman Hamm!
I came here for the first time in July of 2000, and I was interested in meeting people who were family of who had lost family members during the rebellion. And so I'm really here just to represent those who can't be here with us today, particularly the sister of Albert Mercier, who's on the list there. His sister Ann Penn suffered the loss of her brother. Her brother was shot by the Newark police. He was shot in the back of the head, allegedly coming out of a hardware store with a vacuum cleaner in his hand. I'm thinking about the son of Rosa Lee Abraham, Moise Abraham, who was a teenager at the time, and his mother came out to grab him and bring him back in the house, and as she got back to the porch, she got shot. And his life has never been the same. And lastly, I'm thinking about, these are just people that I had the fortune of getting to know, of the Spellman family, of Pamela and Kimberly Spellman. They lived up here in the Hayes projects on the 10th floor, and the police believed that there was allegedly a sniper on the roof, and instead of trying to find out where that, quote, sniper was, instead they opened fire on the building with machine guns. She was on the 10th floor. Kimberly was at the window and was pulled back from the window and was shot in the ankle. Her mother, with Eloise Spellman, was shot, unfortunately, in the neck, and waited for assistance to come, but nobody came for nearly an hour. So you're looking at the mother of 10 children who was killed, and you're looking at 10 kids who are all broken up and sent into various foster homes. And so, the trauma continues from one generation to the next. I wish that Antoine Penn could be here. His mother passed 5 years ago, and he kind of holds the banner, but the intergenerational trauma is there, and unfortunately, as Ron Parambo's great book, No Cause for Indictment, indicates, no one was ever held accountable. No one was ever, held to justice, and this is something that continues to eat at those who are alive and remember and who lost family members. So I wear two hats today. One is an educator and the other is a witness. And I pray for peace for those who have suffered as a result. And I pray that we can move forward as a society. And we're in a dark place right now. But I'm hoping that, as the councilwoman said, if we all get out and vote in November, it's our duty to get out and vote in November, because we got to turn this thing around so we can start moving forward rather than backward. Thank you.
Give him a hand. Dr. Max Herman. Dr. Max Herman. Now we're going to hear from the other doctor, Dr. Linda Carter.
Hi, everybody. I'm just here to make it a lot of things. I'm listening to the language that